Hello, you may be wondering what happened to my last video. I took it down because it contained an inaccuracy. I don't like putting round inaccuracies. So I'm just going to briefly explain myself after I've told you. I'm Granniopteryx and I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. So here you can see, large as life and twice as natural, that the iftar event was not held in Windsor at St George's Chapel, but in Windsor St George's Hall, which is a banquet hall. And of course, that's somewhat different. And I was annoyed that they were holding it in a chapel, and no, it's in a banquet hall where the king is entitled to invite as many guests of whatever persuasion as he wishes. The fact that these people are still saying the iftar prayers in a place full of statues and Christian symbols and paintings, well, that's their business. It's also their business and the king's business that they prefer to use what we might call Muslim dining practices rather than the ones that we consider the norm here in this country. They're not sitting at tables, they're sitting on the floor and eating off perfectly reasonable cloths on the floor. The fact is, this is very definitely a Muslim event and not an event held by a European king for Muslims, if you see what I mean. But that is their business and the king's business. I think possibly if I have a complaint from the king's point of view, it would have looked better if they'd have been sitting at dining tables. I don't think there is actually a religious obligation to sit on the floor. And but that's a matter of practice, and I suppose that's up to the king. I read that it was in the chapel, and I believed it because there have been so many other occasions where churches have been turned over for Muslim prayer. And then when I was looking it up, I found many instances where Muslims have actually bought churches and are using them as mosques. Now, I want to point something out here. So far as I know, they do it in areas where Muslims have settled and there is a very small population of Christians. And it's natural that they would take over a place of worship to use for their own. The question I have to ask is, why are these churches empty? They're empty because Christians aren't going there anymore. And that is something that Christians may be annoyed about, but it's basically their fault. If believing Christians don't turn up in churches, then what do you expect? So there is that problem. Use it, as they say, or lose it. All right, well, that's it. I made a mistake about the venue and I apologise for misinforming you. As soon as I was told that I was wrong, I've changed the video. Oh, and there is something else, because under that video that I've deleted, there were many comments to the effect that King Charles has converted to Islam. And he did that apparently in the 90s, according to some Turkish imam or whatever. Now look, this is my opinion. Islam has a very tenuous historicity, and this has led many Muslims to claim validity from other religions and to bolt it onto their own religion to give it a bit more bulk. And one of them is claiming a lot of various people as Muslims. Muslims say that Jesus was a Muslim, for instance. Were you aware of that? Or that Abraham was a Muslim, or indeed that Adam was a Muslim. No, they weren't, and neither is King Charles either. Just because some random Turkish cleric says King Charles is a Muslim, doesn't mean that's necessarily so. We'd have to have a lot more proof before that sort of silly idea would be going round. I mean, the imam would. It's very likely, I'm just guessing here, but it's very likely that this imam heard then Prince Charles say he thought Islam was a good religion or a nice religion or something, and latched onto that, because it's like men drowning. You know, they'll grab onto anything in an attempt to stay afloat. Okay, well, yeah, that's it. Till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.